Anyway, my name is Karleen Savage, and I'm known as the trailblazer in conflict resolution. And I came to Jessica because I was pitching a parenting, building confident teens. And I did that because I have 7 grown kids. I've been a mom more than 4 decades. And people have always asked me, how did you do this? How do your kids like you? How come they still kiss you in public? How come they still come home? How come they listen to you when you're talking and they're not disrespectful? And so finally, I wrote this book, The Confident Teen Blueprint. It's a parent's 30-day challenge to empower your teens. So as I did that, and because I did that, what I started seeing is people started making epic shifts. Now, I shared with you, I'm the trailblazer in conflict resolution. Confident teens is a conflict for parents. It is a tough nut to crack. They're going through so many hormonal changes. They're not sure what they want to do. They're not sure who they like, what they like, how long they're going to like it. And they're questioning a lot of things. And I always tell people they're pre-adults. So now they're no longer 8, and you could tell them clean up your mess and they'll do it. They're pre-adult, and that is a completely different bandwidth. So when I came to Jessica, I had already given a TED talk on my conflict resolution. But if you understand TED Talks and you understand speaking, it only lasts as long as the minute, right? The little 11 minutes that I did my TED Talk, that's how long it lasted. And you have to keep building momentum. So that's where I was at, was saying, I need to figure out a way to build momentum. And so when I did that, I thought, okay, people have been asking about this. How could I dial that in and still talk about conflict? So that's how we birthed the Confident Teen Blueprint. And I was able to put it into a book, 3 steps. 3 steps I used to build confident teens. And I didn't just talk about my 7 children. I talked about the dozen other kids that came and lived with us. None of them coming with a smooth, happy past. So every single one of them left with confidence. How did that happen? And that was the crux for what I came to Jessica for. I bought the whole program. I did the one-time payment. I wanted Jessica to do it because when I was to the point where it was, I can sit here and scratch and scrimp my way through trying to get this done, which I had been doing for a long time. And so I could do that, or I could look for somebody that can help me. And this is the way I look for things now. So in the past, probably 2 years, I have a few criterias. One is it has to be a guaranteed program. I cannot work outside of guaranteed programs because I've spent so much money. Have you spent so much money on people who have promised you the world and can't deliver? And I was done with that game. So I found somebody that guaranteed that I would get to the red dot. I found somebody that would guarantee that I could get certain things done, get on stages. And then I found Jessica, who guaranteed me I'd get on 30 podcasts in the next whatever year is what we were anticipating. So, but I bought the whole package because I had no more time to play. And that's where my brain was at. And so I invested in her. The one thing I loved when I invested in the program is she was so transparent. I don't know if you've had calls with her, but she will tell you the down and dirty and the ugly of her life. Is not a personal life, but what is quality to her and what isn't quality to her. And when I sat with her, I said, I think, now keep in mind, you guys, I have 7 kids. My oldest is in their 40s. I have 2 that are in their 40s, and then my youngest is at 30. And so I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been looking for those ideas and those people who could help me. And they wouldn't give me a guarantee, but okay, I'll invest my $10,000 with you, or I'll invest my $25,000 with you. And then I went nowhere. And so when I got on the phone with her, she was so transparent. And I said to her, I don't think I've ever met anybody who talks as transparent as you do. Because usually you get a sales team that the sales team will qualify you. Basically, how much money do you have? Can you do this? And are you ready to make the jump? And that's kind of how you're pushed into the corner. And then you have to commit because you said, I'm committed. I want to make the jump. And she didn't do that with me. She didn't do that at all. She just said, this is what we could do. This is what I'll guarantee. This is how I think it could look. And if it doesn't feel good to you right now, it's okay. We can do this another time. That was like a real important thing to me, because as many of you have probably tried to get your word and message out there, it's hard. It's hard unless you are because you are a one-woman show or a one-man show trying to push your agenda and your mission. And so when I went on it, she got me in, and this is how we coined it. So my history, pardon me, is I got my master's in conflict resolution and negotiations. I went to work in the courthouse for mediation. I became very successful at it, to the point where judges would request me to do the mediation, because I didn't coerce people into it. I mediated people. I facilitated the conversation. And so I loved it so much that I went and I became certified in hostage negotiations. And that was epic, so epic. And then I loved it so much that I went and I certified and I worked suicide and the crisis lens, so crisis negotiations. And what I discovered was that there's a 5-scale model that these 3 organizations use, these 3 specialist groups use to work through conflict. And my idea was, why are we holding this until the worst of times? Why aren't we sharing this now? Because mediators have about a 60% chance of success. I had a higher, and hostage negotiators have about an 89% chance of success. So when you're looking at that and you're going, okay, I really am worried about my relationship with my teen or my relationship X, period. Where should you go? And my philosophy was, you go to the people that are the best problem solvers in the world, the people that can get you out of the crunch. And so that's what we built. And so that was my pitch sheet, was, here's all her certifications. Here's her, she was on, stage with a TED Talk, but she is a trailblazer, and I am. And so I took that message on the road. I had my first podcast probably 3 weeks after I joined. So I know Jessica makes sure, that's how transparent, she makes sure that hey, we're probably not going to see anything for the first couple of months. But with me, I didn't expect to see anything for the first couple of months, and I got something 3 weeks later, and it's been going strong ever since. Also, what has happened is I've been on about 20, not all of them have published yet, but I was asked back as a second-time guest on 7 of them. So now I've increased my exposure, because now it's not just once, it's, the 30 that I get with Jessica plus my 7, and then you pull in your sound bites and you pull in the image of their podcast, and you put it on your website, and you put it on your social media, and you share it with people, all of those sound bites. And that has proved to be a powerful tool. But I think, how do you get asked? I think the biggest, and I don't know if a lot of people get asked back on multiple podcasts, I don't know, but I was thinking about it, and I think that the thing that worked for me is this. This is it. I am pretty natural. I talk, I don't pull any punches. I say it like it is. I'm pretty conversational. If people want to talk to me, you can pretty much ask me anything and I'll go right into it. The one thing that all my podcast hosts really liked, that got me a request back, is because I shared personal experiences. I'd say, oh yeah, because they'd say, how do you get this done? How do I get my teenager who's angry, or how do I get my kids who can't get along? And so I'd say, oh my gosh, I remember doing that. I would play this little role play of take it to the judge with my kids. That's when the 2 have a different story, but both of them are to blame. And I said, and I'd explain, you both have to tell your story just in front of the judge. I'm the judge, and our agreement is you present your story in front of the other person. You give me the facts the best you can, and I'll decide what's correct and not correct. Now, in the world of conflict resolution, there's a lot of truth that comes out when you're face to face with the person. And so we would talk about that. And so they would come back and go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Can you come back? Can you come back and let's talk about this piece and that piece? And so I've had that. I have a large organization that's requested to possibly teach classes to all their parents. And then I gave my giveaway. I gave the digital download of my book for free. So all they had to do was go to my website /parents. They could get the digital download for free. And so that was another thing that I offered. Because really, if I just try and say this, that I have to be paid for this, it's going to lose its luster in a year anyway. So unless you keep it alive, then it just loses that. And I remember holding information and going, no, I have to wait until they give me credit, some money or something. And I realized that that's becomes irrelevant. I have so much collateral right now. I have so much stuff that I have to post. I can't even keep up with it. And that's the beauty of this program. So I think for me, the transparency, the guarantee, and that they delivered. They absolutely delivered. And she wrote out my stuff, so I didn't have to tweak it at all. You will want to make note that even if you get a one sheet, your podcast hosts are going to ask you to give them that information again. So you're going to have to just cut and paste off of your one sheet, send them your picture. You're going to have to do all those things again for certain people. And then some of them will want a pre-interview. Some of them just go straight into the interview. Jessica leaves a spreadsheet and you can write notes about each podcast host. And so I write my notes about what I know about these people and how much I enjoyed them, or, that they, like I have one that she's requiring a heavy lift. It wasn't just give me all these things. It was, and you need to choose between 3 different kinds of programs, pay for these, don't pay for these. And so it just kind of went all over the place. And so that one I'm struggling a little bit with, but it will happen. But you just keep your chin up, you keep your head up, and you stay focused on your topic and your talking point. Your talking points. And then you can deliver on what's important to you. And right now, because of that sign up, not all my podcasts have published, but I have 150 people who've signed up on my email list. So I can market to those guys. And that's a thing. And so would I give the digital away? Absolutely, I'd give the digital away. And I have to just sell. I just got notified this last week that I'm going to be on one of the top 10 mom podcasts in the country. And I am so excited. Now, here it is. I got notified last week. We're in August. Their first opening is in November to interview. And they're not publishing until March. So that just gives you an idea of maybe timeline. But I've worked all these podcasts and I've refined kind of my message and how I share things. And so anyway, I'm super excited about that one. We'll see.